Boy, oh boy, lots going on. 2 judges arrested by Pam Bondi and Kash Patel, Democrats both, in 24 hours. I'm Brian Craig. The Brian Craig Show is brought to you by Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting and Roofing. If you're in the state of Florida and need roof replacement or repair, residential or commercial, Tom's your guy. He's a good MAGA guy. He'll never sell you a roof you do not need. Online at LaportaRoofing.com. Okay. Just craziness going on. So Pam Bondi and Kash Patel have arrested, and Bongino, 2 Democrat judges in 24 hours. The latest is this lady judge in Wisconsin, and that's the one I'm going to focus on first. But, you know, we've been talking so much in the last few weeks about how judges in this country are out of control. Now, these aren't federal judges. These are local judges. But judges in this country are out of control. You know, these federal judges somehow think that they have authority over the president of the United States. The Supreme Court has the mistaken belief that they can order the president to get involved in certain negotiations with leaders. You know, I mean, it's bizarre what's going on. And the judges of our country, you know, the judgeships of the country at the local level has been infiltrated by these liberal lunatics. You know, the Soros organization about 10, 15 years ago started financially backing the campaigns of district attorneys, you know, prosecutors and judges all over the country. And we have these radical leftist judges who are outlaws. They're just complete outlaws. This judge in Wisconsin who lied to federal agents and helped an illegal immigrant escape. This is crazy. And she felt, because she's a judge, that she's invincible. She can do whatever she wants. That these judges believe that they are above the law, local and the federal judges. They think that because they're judges, that they can break the law and that they are some type of kings and queens in their own little kingdom or something. And the arrest of these judges is absolutely amazing. You know, it's just breaking. So things are going to continue to develop, you know, throughout the day and the weekend and next week. But you got to wonder, these judges around the country that are outlaw judges, these activist outlaw judges, do these arrests by Pam Bondi make them nervous at all? You would think it would, wouldn't you? But it probably doesn't, because they're hardcore lunatic liberals and they think that they have achieved a higher calling. This is Florida's own Pam Bondi, the Attorney General of the United States. And she was on with Sandra Smith and John Roberts earlier today, right after the arrest of this Wisconsin judge. And she talked a little bit about it. Listen.
And to set the stage for you and Sandra, this was truly horrific. This guy was in court being prosecuted by a state prosecutor for domestic violence battery. He had beat up 2 people, a guy and a girl, hit the guy 30 times, knocked him to the ground, choked him, beat up a woman so badly they both had to go to the hospital. And John, you know, it's so rare for victims to want to cooperate. They wanted to cooperate. They were sitting in the courtroom with the state prosecutor. The judge learns that ICE was outside to get the guy because he had been deported in 2013, came back in our country, commits these crimes, charged with committing these crimes, victims in court. Judge finds out. She goes out in the hallway, screams at the immigration officers. She's furious, visibly shaken, upset, sends them off to talk to the chief judge. She comes back in the courtroom. You're not going to believe this. Takes the defendant and the defense attorney back in her chambers, takes them out a private exit and tells them to leave, while a state prosecutor and victims of domestic violence are sitting in the courtroom.
Yeah. And, you know, this is everything that's happening. Like these, listen, there's always been liberal activist judges. We've seen this all our lives. But what we have now, these aren't liberal activist judges. These are radical revolutionaries and outlaws that are in robes on benches at the local and federal level. And this is all Obama and Soros and Act Blue, you know, that Democrat PAC. And they have been recruiting these lunatics to be in all of these important powerful positions, and they feel invincible. And, they all believe that Donald Trump is all of these terrible things. Okay. So they do believe. To understand what they're doing, you have to, try to think about it from where they're coming from, not justifying it. These judges are going to go to prison. This Wisconsin judge, this lady is going to go to prison, and she should. But, they believe Trump is Hitler. And if you have Hitler running your country, you are duty bound to do whatever you can to stop Hitler. And that's how they view it. They're mental patients. And just to give you an example, this is Al Gore, who was almost president of the United States, just a couple hundred votes here in Florida, gave the presidency to George Bush. This is Al Gore talking about our favorite president, the greatest president of our lifetime, arguably the greatest president in the history of the American presidency. But this is Al Gore talking about President Trump.
Our Constitution, written by our founders, is intended to protect us against a threat identical to Donald Trump.
Here, it's not just what he's saying. It's the anger level. It is so out of proportion.
Someone who seeks power at all costs to get more power. And I understand very well why it is wrong to compare Adolf Hitler's Third Reich to any other movement. It was uniquely evil, full stop. I get it. But there are important lessons from the history of that emergent evil, and here is one that I regard as essential. In the immediate aftermath of World War II, a small group of philosophers who had escaped Hitler's murderous regime returned to Germany and performed a kind of moral autopsy on the Third Reich. The most famous of the so-called Frankfurt School of philosophers was a man named Jürgen Habermas. He described how the Nazis, and I quote again, attacked the very heart of the distinction between true and false, end quote. The Trump administration is insisting on trying to create their own preferred version of reality. They say Ukraine attacked Russia instead of the other way around, and expect us to believe it.
Hear the anger again?
At home, they attack heroes who have defended our nation in war and against cyber attacks as traitors.
Okay. So, you hear that anger you have there, and that is where he is. That's where the Democrats are coming from, including these outlaw judges. And, for them to have arrested 2 judges in 24 hours, this is the beginning of something, and what they're going to get her on most definitely is lying to federal agents, which is a crime. That's what they got General Flynn on. Obstruction of justice, helping a felon escape. There's all kinds of charges. This Wisconsin judge is going to federal prison. But this is the beginning of something. And there are officials nationwide that are helping not just the illegals that are here illegally, but helping violent illegals like this guy that this judge helped escape. And this tells me that the Pam Bondi Justice Department is going to start going around and arresting these not just outlaw judges, but mayors and other government officials around the United States that have been helping these violent, murdering, rapist, illegal criminals all over our country. There's a lot of discussion going on right now about why Democrats are supporting these criminals, these wife beaters and terrorists and murderers and rapists. And I don't think there's a single answer to it. I mean, some of it's Trump derangement syndrome. But the main reason is these are true believing revolutionary lunatics that are completely insane. They are anarchist. Now, they may be a judge, they may be a city councilman, they may be a mayor of a major city, but they are anarchist. And what their goal is to bring down the United States of America. That's what they're trying to do. This Hate America First crowd on the left, this is Hate America First on steroids, right? And some heavy duty steroids. They believe that all of the problems in the world are because of the United States. They don't understand that the United States is the savior of the other countries around the world, right? We've held the world together since 1945 when the Second World War ended. And they believe that if the United States did not exist, the world would be a perfect place. You remember Dinesh D'Souza had I can't remember if it was a book, and I think they made a documentary out of it. But what the world would be like without America, it would be a complete collapse. The economy would collapse. War would break out. There would be no stability. But these radical revolutionary anarchists, like these judges, in particular the Wisconsin judge, that New Mexico judge where they had the Trinde guy living in the guest house, that's some other kind of weird freak show that we're going to get a lot of information about. Now, but there's no acknowledgement of what this judge and others like them are trying to do. You know, these mayors, like the mayor of Boston and some other cities around the country, that say, well, this is a sanctuary city, that if you're, in one of these terrorist organizations, these like MS-13 or you can be here and we're going to take care of you. That's not allowed. That's illegal for them to do it. And this arrest of the judge in Wisconsin, the one in New Mexico too, but mostly the one in Wisconsin, this is one of the boldest arrests maybe ever made by any attorney general and FBI director of the United States. In fact, I would say that Kash Patel is the most important FBI director since the early days of J. Edgar Hoover during the Depression, when he was going after, those mobsters that were running around the country. So this judge gets arrested. This is CNN. I'll play it a little early. This is CNN right after the Wisconsin judge's arrest today.
Level judge in Wisconsin. The FBI just arrested a Wisconsin judge.
That's right.
Accusing her of shielding an immigrant from federal officials.
Notice leaves out all the violent crimes and how she lied and helped them escape and everything else. And just an immigrant. Melania is an immigrant. Elon is an immigrant. Now, these are illegal immigrants that are violent felons we're talking about here.
Level judge in Wisconsin. The FBI just arrested a Wisconsin judge accusing her of shielding an immigrant from federal officials. When you're doing stuff like that, it makes people say, not enough people, mind you, but more people all the time say, that's not what I had in mind when Trump was talking about immigration. And
see, now this cracks me up. This is back to this nonsense that Trump voters regret their vote. These leftists in the pundit class, they believe their own BS. MAGA voters do not regret their vote. Anyone you see say that they voted for Trump and they regret voting for Trump, they didn't vote for Trump. They're lying. Okay, they're fake MAGA. This arrest today of this judge in Wisconsin and the one yesterday in New Mexico, this is why we elected Trump. These outlaws that have taken over our government, like these judges, need to be brought to justice.
More people all the time say, that's not what I had in mind when Trump was talking about immigration. And these, by the way, are the same people who, when they talk about tariffs, are saying, I voted for Trump because he said he was going to lower prices. Why?
Well, prices are going down. Gas, I got gas for $2.57 a gallon the other day. Egg prices are down 87%. Not everything's gone down, but things are going down. Now, here's Pam Bondi talking about the judge in New Mexico. And I want to say, there's a lot of criticism by people. Oh, Pam Bondi's on Fox all the time. President Trump hired the best people for these high-profile positions, right? But he also hired people that are good on television so that they could go on television and make the case for what they're doing in a very credible way. So now don't criticize Pam Bondi for being on television. Here's Pam Bondi talking about the arrest of that weirdo judge and his wife in New Mexico.
I mean, when you look at the associations with this violent Venezuelan gang, Tren de Aragua, and this person that they harbored in their home, he was showing signs through clothing, we were told, tattoos. There was evidence through voice messages and text messages of his association to TDA. So what charges will Cano and his wife face, if any?
So Judge Cano, soon to be former Judge Cano,
I love that, don't you? I mean, Hear how tough she is? This is amazing.
Judge Cano, soon to be former Judge Cano, his charges were just unsealed. He's charged with obstruction. He admitted post Miranda. He took one of the TDA members' cell phones himself, took it, beat it with a hammer, destroyed it, and then walked the pieces to a city dumpster to dispose of it to protect him. The wife also is charged with destroying evidence. Sandra, not only that, this TDA member, and he had on a necklace that said kill, something about death. He had tattoos all over him. Mm-hmm. He also had on his cell phone pictures of two decapitated victims, decapitated, gruesome photos. And he was sending them out, and whoever he was sending them to was sending back, saying, hey, you need to be careful. You shouldn't be sending these. You shouldn't be texting these photos out. Not only that, these two, the judge and his wife, gave him assault rifles that belonged to their daughter. That's what they're charged with. In the criminal report affidavit, he goes to a shooting range with these assault rifles, with a suppressor, with other known TDA members, and they're shooting. This is the last person that we want in our country, nor will we ever tolerate a judge or anyone else harboring them.
Wow. You know, this one in New Mexico, this is a little different than the one in Wisconsin. He and his wife seem like freaks to me, if you know what I mean. And there's a bizarre picture of the judge with the Trende guy, but maybe he's a cartel or gang member judge, right? Remember The Departed with Leonardo DiCaprio and Jack Nicholson? And Jack Nicholson was this crime boss, and he infiltrated the police department with a bunch of criminals that he got in there when they were kids. There's a lot of that possibility thing. This guy could be on the take with them. There's something weird about this guy, but every level of our government has been infiltrated by these Soros anarchists some of them are on the take, like maybe this guy. This guy is a different thing. But remember, their goal is to bring down the United States. Anarchists. They're leading a revolution against the United States. That's why it's so important for President Trump to deport these people on student visas that are organizing pro-terrorist revolutionary events on campus, like this Mahmoud from Colombia. This country, we're the most diverse country in the world, and our enemies use our love of diversity against us in all these instances. All right, now this is another reaction on CNN after the arrest of this anarchist criminal judge in Wisconsin.
This is her courtroom, Boris, and she's in control.
Oh, my goodness. So this idiot on CNN is saying because it's her courtroom, it's like her own little society, that she's like the king of this, or I guess queen of this courtroom, and she can break the law in her own courtroom? I don't think so.
This is her courtroom, Boris, and she's in control of her courtroom. We've never had a case like this. The only one that resembles it is one in which the judge took actual steps to deceive and prevent ICE from coming in. She handled it and said, look, if you want to make an arrest, don't do it in my courtroom. Don't.
Are you kidding me? They got a federal fugitive from justice, and she thinks she can stop them, some local judge, not even a federal judge. And this idiot on CNN, he thinks what he's saying makes sense and is legal analysis.
Don't exploit it. You can do it on the street. There's no principle that says she has to somehow aid them in their facilitation of the arrest of this man. I think I agree. It's a real escalation, but I think it's hyperbolic at best to say she was harboring a fugitive. She was saying, not in my courtroom.
And she harbored him and then in her chambers and then helped him escape.
And I think this is not just an aggressive, but probably an over-aggressive move by the Bureau. My best guess is that this case is going to collapse because you need to have corrupt intent. It's not just enough to not want him to be arrested. You need to have corrupt intent under federal law.
Well, when you're helping someone escape, that is corrupt intent. You've got federal agents saying, we want to arrest this guy, and you obstruct the federal agents, and then you take them to escape, that's a violation of the federal law.
And it's one thing if you do positive steps to deceive, but simply to say, while you're in my courtroom, you can exit here, enter here.
Oh, my goodness. This guy is, and the CNN anchors are just sitting there like, I don't know if they're in shock at this idiot or if they're just agreeing with him.
And he's still arrested. I don't think they're going to be able to show it. And in any event, it is an extremely aggressive move against a sitting state judge.
Harry, can we just talk about how many layers of norms are being broken here? Because
layers of, well, yeah, it's normal to have these radical, revolutionary, outlaw, criminal judges and other Democrat officials. It's the norm to let them break the law and be outlaws.
Can we just talk about how many layers of norms are being broken here? Because you have the immigration crackdown.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I mean, it's amazing to me. Now, it's hard to believe that even CNN thinks that this judge was in the right. She helped them escape. A violent felon. She helped him escape, gave him an escape route. It doesn't get more criminal than that. My name's Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. We'll take our first break and be right back.
This is Dr. Philip Appleton. I'm a chiropractic physician. I've seen thousands and thousands of patients in my career. I've been a chiropractic physician here in Pompano Beach for 40 years. We're open 6 days a week. If you have sciatica, you have bursitis, you have tendinitis, you're tired of taking the pills, the drugs, the injections, and you heard that you have to live with it, well, there's a lot of times you don't have to live with it. I've had great success with helping people. My testimonials are marvelous with patients. They love the treatment because no injections, there's no medication, there's no surgery. There's none of that. It's strictly either the laser or the acupuncture I do or shockwave therapy I do. Open 6 days a week. Come in for the free consultation and be willing to look at you and help you.
Take advantage of that no-charge consultation with Dr. Appleton. Remember, appointments are not necessary and walk-ins are welcome even on Saturdays. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonChiro.com. Are you ready to transform pain into purpose? From author Sammy Dunaway comes your guide to healing what hurts most in the book, Bridge to Redemption, The Power of Forgiveness, available on Amazon. This must-read book combines real-life stories with practical tools like journaling, mindfulness, and empathy building to help you release anger, regret, and bitterness. When you read Bridge to Redemption through the lens of divine grace, you'll learn to forgive others and yourself, mend broken relationships, and find the peace you've been longing for. Whether you're carrying deep wounds or seeking a fresh start, this book is your roadmap to a lighter, freer life. It also makes a great addition to your book club. Discover how forgiveness isn't just a gift for others. It's a lifeline for you, a bridge from pain to peace, from regret to redemption. Bridge to Redemption, The Power of Forgiveness is available now on Amazon. Your journey to healing starts right now. If you're a homeowner or with a homeowners association and your roof is old or compromised, you need to call Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing. Laporta Roofing has been in the roofing and construction business since 1984, with thousands of roof installations and thousands of satisfied customers. Did you know that in the state of Florida, you can open a roofing company and borrow someone else's license? Tom Laporta is the holder of his roofing and general contractor's licenses, not like the other companies that borrow other people's licenses. So be sure who you're dealing with. Tom Laporta and his team are honest, knowledgeable, and reliable, and he'll never sell you a roof you don't need. Laporta Roofing carries all insurance, including workers' compensation on all of its employees, not just a waiver like other contractors. Laporta Roofing can handle any type of roofing job too. Residential roofing, HOAs, condominiums, and churches. If it's roofing, Laporta Roofing can do it. So call Tom Laporta on his cell phone, 954-604-4602, or connect online at laportaroofing.com. That number again is 954-604-4602. Laporta Roofing, the go-to roofing company you can trust. We're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Lynn from Boynton. I just received my 7th and 8th set of Mike Lindell sheets. This time we got flannel ones, which we had never had. I got one for my husband for Christmas. He loves it. Oh, my God. And especially with the cold days and nights we've been having the last few months in Florida. I got 2 more. I send them to my friends for Christmas now, and they just love them. Absolutely love them.
Yeah, I have the flannels, too. You're like Goldilocks. They keep you the same temperature all night long.
Yes. So perfect. The guy just has a great product.
The thing with Mike Lindell sheets, all of them, the fitted sheet at the bottom fits perfectly on the mattress. Every other sheet, you can't get the 4 corners on. And it's almost impossible. Even after having them for years and washing them, I don't know how many times, they still fit perfectly.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
You're probably going to be on the next My Pillow commercial, just so you know, okay?
Okay.
Okay, just to let you know. You heard Lynn from Boynton. She loves her My Pillow sheets. Order yours right now at a huge discount. Use our promo code KANE, KANE, at checkout at mypillow.com.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. It's the Brian Craig Show podcast. Oh, in other news, Pete Hegseth fired Susan Rice from her advisory position at the Department of Defense, which is about time. She's a bad person. It's amazing she's still around in any type of position of advisory after what she did after Benghazi. One of the things that President Trump has mentioned recently, which I know is an influence from Elon Musk, because I've heard Elon Musk talk about these things, is President Trump has come up with an idea to try to create a baby boom. You know, the population of the United States is in decline. Our birth rate, the population of Americans, okay, because, of course, the Democrats brought over 20 million illegals in the country the last 4 years. But, and you can look this up on your own. I've looked this up in the past. The birth rate and death rate are almost equal in the United States. The birth rate is a little bit above the death rate. And that's the beginning of a country, a nation, a civilization that's in decline. We're not making enough American babies. And there's a lot of reasons for this. You know, millennials are a very weird generation. You know, we got millennials and Gen Z. Those are the childbearing years, generations, right? Millennials are a very selfish, self-centered generation. A lot of them are married, but they don't have kids because, you know, and a lot of millennials, they don't want to own a house. They don't want to have anything. They just want to be on vacation all the time. They want to take big vacations, have big trips. They want to have an experience. And they don't do the old-fashioned thing. They do get married, but they don't have kids, and they don't build a life together. So they don't have enough kids. Gen Z, they've got so many problems with all the gender stuff going on and everything. So many of them are not living a sexual lifestyle that results in pregnancies. And those are the two generations that are of the childbearing years or the child-making years. You know the issues. I don't have to go through them all. And President Trump suggested that they give $5,000 to every mother after she gives birth, American mother, as a way to get more babies born. And I think that's a pretty outside the box kind of thing. And of course, you know, these Trump derangement syndrome sufferers on the left, they're going to disagree with everything President Trump does. This is a guest on MSNBC, and she's talking about this $5,000 baby bonus to mothers that'll be given after they give birth. Listen.
When white people are the dominant group. How do you pin them down, though, on that? How do we the fact that
Now the host of this, interviewing this guest, is Goldbar Menendez's daughter.
When white people are the dominant group. How do you pin them down, though, on that? How do we the fact that restricting abortion access was Jane Crow Part 1, and that then incentives to procreate that are very specifically tailored to specific groups are Part 2. How do you make the subtext textual?
I'm curious what if Black and Latina and Asian women said, sign me up? Like all these programs that you're offering?
Yes.
Let's see if they will still offer them. I mean, we saw this. I mean, I know it's not a one-to-one comparison, but we saw with certain gun control, right? When the Black Panther Party said, oh, well, you want to have guns? We want to have guns. All of a sudden we have gun laws, right? And we saw backpedaling. What if women of color said, all of these policies that you're making so easy for other women, what if we were all of a sudden interested?
Okay. So, the idiots on The View have been saying similar things. They think that he's only going to give $5,000 to white mothers who give birth to white babies. There's nothing here about ethnicity, skin color, anything, just American. You have to be an American citizen. The mother has to be an American citizen. You can't be like an illegal and give birth to an anchor baby for the $5,000 baby bonus. I think that's a great idea. And, the $5,000 could really help new mothers out a lot. It's expensive when you bring a baby home. Diaper, oh my goodness. I remember when my daughter was in diapers, it was so nice when she was finally out of them because they're expensive, man. And you've got the formula, you've got to buy the crib, you got to buy the car seats, and then they grow and you got to buy a new car seat. It's very expensive. That $5,000 baby bonus would come in handy. I know you get tax deductions and things like that, but that's not cash in your hand. $5,000 being sent to you by the federal government. It's certainly money better spent than what USAID was spending money on, right? No, I think it's a great idea. Whether or not it happens, who knows? But you see how upset they get. If you're most new mothers, they're young. Think about if those of you out there that are parents, how much would it have helped you if you got a $5,000 check from the federal government when your baby came home from the hospital? Oh my goodness. That would be the best. It would help so much. But you're not making a lot of money off of that because it's all going to go to the baby. In the first segment, I was talking about these anarchists that want to bring down the country. And I played that clip of Al Gore. These Democrats, they was on yesterday's morning show, I was talking about how the left just will not accept that Donald Trump is the president of the United States. They just can't accept it. They're in the denial phase of grief. For him to come back for a non-consecutive second term with poll numbers through the roof and a landslide victory, even I'm shocked by it still. I talk a lot. Don't you guys, sometimes it's hard to imagine that this happened. Everything that they put him through, the arrest, the break-in of his home, they shot him, they tried to shoot him again, everything. And he's president again. And it's like, wow, it's amazing. And surreal. But these Democrats, you could hear they're having complete meltdowns. The ones that call me on the show in the morning, you could tell that the further we get into President Trump's second term with his great successes and his popularity, they're coming unglued. This is a woman at a Georgia Democrat senator's town hall. I don't know why that's not playing. I just played it a few minutes ago. Well, anyway, I'll tell you what she says. She's screaming that she wants Trump impeached, and they got to impeach. And let me see if it works now. No, they might have, because I saw this video, and I posted it I reposted it or retweeted it on X, and maybe the original person that made the video took the audio down, because it was so devastating. Yeah, I mean, what do they want to impeach him for? For being a success? Exactly. Now, this story with the two judges is going to be turning the Democrats upside down for a long time, and I'm telling you, there's going to be more arrest of officials, of judges, of local government officials. And they've hinted already, the Pam Bondi Justice Department, the Trump administration, about arresting these sanctuary city mayors and police chiefs and sheriffs that are telling their officers not to assist and maybe even obstruct federal agents when they go in these immigration raids. So the arrest of this judge, when it starts to sink in even more, the left and the left-wing media are going to have even more meltdowns over it, because it's I think it's starting to become scary to them that their outlaw behavior just is not going to be tolerated anymore. This is Tyrion Lannister on CNN, Wolf Blitzer. He's talking about the arrest of the Wisconsin judge that helped the violent illegal escape.
Kash Patel.
And I wonder, by the way, they arrested the judge. Shouldn't they arrest the lawyer? Is it legal for a lawyer to help their felon client to escape? I don't think so. They should arrest the lawyer, too. You know what? They might.
Dr. Kash Patel says a U.S. judge has been arrested for obstructing an immigration operation. Let's go live right now to our senior crime and justice correspondent, Caitlin Poland. It's pretty dramatic. What are you learning, Caitlin?
Truly, Wolf, this is something that we have certainly not seen before, but appears to be part of this aggressive approach the Trump administration has toward immigration. What the FBI director, Kash Patel, announced in a social media post
this is great.
Just a few minutes ago this morning is that just now the FBI arrested Judge Hannah Dugan out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, on charges of obstruction after evidence of Judge Dugan obstructing an immigration arrest operation last week. We believe Judge Dugan intentionally misdirected federal agents away from the subject to be arrested in her courthouse. Eduardo Flores Ruiz is the name that the FBI director puts out there about that subject, allowing the subject to evade arrest. Thankfully, our agents chased down the perp on foot, and he's been in custody since. But the judge's obstruction created increased danger to the public. So that's the FBI director laying out this apparent story and the developments this morning, Wolf, of what is happening with this arrest. We have reached out to the Milwaukee County Circuit Court, which is where the judge sits, Judge Hannah Dugan. They have not responded yet, and there isn't any publicly available information in the court record of.
What really blows me away with this is how in the liberal media, in the liberal minds, the judge did nothing wrong. She's a judge. She's in a courtroom, and that's her own little country, and she can make up the laws and obstruct and do whatever she wants because she's in that black robe. They're in shock that Pam Bondi and Kash Patel would arrest an outlaw judge like this.
About this, but it would be a startling development if this judge was arrested as she was working on the bench as a judge handling an immigration case or a case of a person that ICE was also interested in. Wolf?
Yeah, very dramatic and significant indeed. Caitlin Poland's reporting for us. Thank you.
Yes, aggressive, dramatic, and significant. They say, yeah, it is all of those things, but that's a good thing, right? That is a good thing, not a bad thing. This is what you want. We have too many of these outlaw public officials, judges and mayors and sheriffs and police chiefs, and it's enough. During the lockdown period, we saw some of these how to control many Democrat officials were. And they just love that power. Mayors and I remember in Florida, in the Tampa area, in Florida, a Democrat sheriff arrested a pastor for having church services in the church. Freedom of religion. It was a scary time. Democrats are dangerous. They are dangerous people. And this case of this judge in Wisconsin is so important. It's more important than the one in New Mexico. The one in New Mexico, there's some freak show going on over there, which we'll probably find out about. This judge in Wisconsin that helped the guy escape is like this Boasberg or that judge in New York in the criminal case where they got the felony convictions. These are judges that are not obeying the law. They're radical Democrats, and they're misusing their authority as a judge. They're misusing their robes and their gavels to do illegal things, to do crime. And it's not going to be tolerated anymore. This is MSNBC, their first coverage of the arrest of the judge in Wisconsin.
Have taken the extraordinary step to arrest a judge.
That's right.
For allegedly obstructing an immigration arrest. Let's get right to NBC's Gary Grumbach, who has been trying to work on getting this reporting for us. What do we know?
This is awesome.
So what we know right now is that over the past several days and weeks, we've seen videos of people being arrested at courthouses by Department of Homeland Security officials when they show up for hearings to adjudicate their immigration status. And that is something we've seen over and over again over the past several weeks. Now, veteran circuit court judge up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, her name is Hannah Dugan. She's now being accused of trying to help out an undocumented immigrant avoid arrest. And I want to read to you FBI Director Kash Patel's tweet. He says in part, quote, just now, the FBI arrested Judge Hannah Dugan out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin on charges of obstruction after evidence of Judge Dugan obstructing an immigration arrest operation last week. He says, going on, saying, we believe Judge Dugan intentionally misdirected federal agents away from the subject to be arrested in her courthouse at Eduardo Flores Ruiz, allowing the subject, who they call an illegal alien, to evade arrest. Now, they say that this individual was eventually arrested by DHS officials. This is something that is just developing, Anna, and we have not yet seen any court documents in this case.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. I can't wait for the mugshot. We don't have the mugshot yet. So I'm hoping the judge's mugshot is released before I upload this show to YouTube so I can put the mugshot of the judge in the thumbnail. I hope she's wearing her robe. I saw a video of the Wisconsin judge walking out of the courthouse in her robe. And they say they arrested her in the courtroom. So wouldn't that be great if she actually has the black robe on in the mugshot? That would be so perfect.
Further news on this topic.
Again, I know how fresh this is, Gary, but do we know how unusual is a situation like this for feds to arrest a judge?
Yeah, well, it's going to be the new normal.
Well, this is incredibly unusual. This is certainly not something we saw during the Biden administration.
That's
not
for
even
sure.
Something we saw during the first Trump administration. But with the increase of importance of immigration as a priority to the Trump administration this time, this is what we have started to see. This is the very first time we've ever seen a judge arrested like this. But seeing these on-camera videos of arrests at courthouses of immigrants that are there to adjudicate their immigration status is certainly new here, Anna.
Yeah, they're wanting to make a statement.
Yeah, they're making a statement. There's no doubt about it. Oh, this is so good. This is as good as it gets. Aren't you proud of Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and President Trump? It is unusual, but hopefully it looks like it's becoming the new normal to arrest in 24 hours of judges. It takes a lot of guts to go out and arrest a judge, because when you arrest a judge, you're going to you're going to get some feedback that's not good about it. All right, now this clip here is of FBI Director Kash Patel.
The most special rooms in the halls of justice, and it really is a unique experience to be able to be a part of the team that is delivering a singular system of justice for the American people.
That's right.
With a complete and total annihilation of the weaponization of justice and the politicization of intelligence.
That's exactly right. The leakers, everything. You got to be proud of these guys. This is why we elected President Trump. We elected President Trump to do exactly this. My name's Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. We'll take our break and be right back. What if the wildest alien conspiracy theories weren't just theories? From author Simon Roser comes the fast-paced sci-fi thriller Salient, available on Amazon. In Salient, 4 friends head to Mount Shasta for a quiet camping trip, only to stumble into a mystery that defies all logic. At the same time, a strange signal from deep space baffles scientists at SETI and NASA and leads straight back to Earth. Disappearances, whistleblowers, government cover-ups. Get ready for a heart-pounding journey you will not forget. Salient, from author Simon Roser, is available on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, hardcover, Kindle Unlimited, and audiobook. Order your copy right now. We're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Lynn from Boynton. I just received my 7th and 8th set of Mike Lindell sheets. This time we got flannel ones, which we had never had. I got one for my husband for Christmas. He loves it. Oh, my God. And especially with the cold days and nights we've been having the last few months in Florida. I got 2 more. I send them to my friends for Christmas now, and they just love them. Absolutely love them.
Yeah, I have the flannels, too. You're like Goldilocks. They keep you the same temperature all night long.
Yes. So perfect. The guy just has a great product.
The thing with Mike Lindell sheets, all of them, the fitted sheet at the bottom fits perfectly on the mattress. Every other sheet, you can't get the 4 corners on.
And it's almost impossible. Even after having them for years and washing them, I don't know how many times, they still fit perfectly.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
You're probably going to be on the next MyPillow commercial, just so you know, okay?
Okay.
Okay, just to let you know.
You heard Lynn from Boynton. She loves her MyPillow sheets. Order yours right now at a huge discount. Use our promo code KANE, Kane, at checkout at MyPillow.com. How would you like to unlock the full potential of mindfulness? You can learn how to do just that and more in the new book from author Jose O. Gallardo, Mastering Mindfulness Beyond Basics, available on Amazon. In this must-read and life-changing book, you'll discover advanced techniques to cultivate lasting presence, learn to build emotional resilience, and ignite your personal growth. Mastering Mindfulness Beyond Basics is your roadmap to transformation. You'll discover how to integrate mindfulness seamlessly into your daily routine, boost your productivity, and strengthen your emotional health, even if you're struggling to find the time or the motivation. There's also step-by-step guidance to enhance your productivity through mindfulness practices, improve your emotional well-being and relationships, reduce stress in real time with simple daily routines. Start your journey toward a more balanced, focused life and order your copy of Mastering Mindfulness Beyond Basics on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, hardcover, and Kindle Unlimited. It's time to unlock the power of mindfulness to transform your life. What if everything you thought you knew about plastics was wrong? From author and world-leading plastic materials scientist, Dr. Chris DeArmond, comes the must-read book, Shattering the Plastics Illusion. It's a groundbreaking sequel to his previous book, The Plastics Paradox. Shattering the Plastics Illusion takes you on a fearless, evidence-based exploration into one of today's most controversial topics. 5 years, over 5,000 scientific studies, and zero funding or outside influence, the author has become the world's leading independent expert on the true impact of plastics on our environment, from ocean litter myths and microplastics to recycling realities and life cycle analysis. This book reveals what the peer-reviewed science really says. If you want facts instead of fear, truth instead of headlines, this is the book for you. Shattering the Plastics Illusion is trusted by scientists, educators, as well as policymakers around the world. And now it's your turn to see the evidence and help shape a smarter, more sustainable future. Order your copy right now online at phantomplastics.com. That's phantomplastics.com. Be informed, not misled. Order your copy today.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
I want to talk to you about Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting and Roofing. If you're in the state of Florida and you need roof replacement or repair, Tom Laporta is your guy. He'll never sell you a roof you do not need. Now, a lot of people say, what do you mean by that? Who would buy a roof they don't need? He's the only roofer that if you just need a simple repair, he'll do it. And I have talked to many of our listeners over the years that Tom Laporta has been with us on the program who have said, I thought I needed a whole new roof. Other roofers told me I needed a new roof. Tom Laporta came out and said, no, you just need a repair. Isn't that something? It's absolutely amazing. He works on every type of structure, residential, commercial, municipal, even his church roofs. And he works with every type of roofing material there is. Now, I'm going to give you Tom Laporta's cell phone. And, this number rings directly to his personal cell phone. This is the number that I use when I text Tom Laporta. You can go to his website, laportaroofing.com, and there's a number there, but it's not his cell phone. You can call or text him directly at 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. That's 954-604-4602 for Tom Laporta at Laporta Contracting and Roofing. All right. Now, President Trump did a great interview with Glenn Beck this week. And I wanted to play really just one clip from it. But this is Glenn Beck. It really was a good interview. I haven't seen Glenn Beck in a while. He always, every time I see Glenn Beck, he looks different. He was looking like Colonel Sanders for a while. And, it's just every time you see him, he's I don't know. Is Is he trying to change his personality or something? I don't know exactly. But anyway, this is Glenn Beck and President Trump. And this is a very it's a great interview if you haven't seen the full thing. But I think I'll just play this one clip.
But in trying to understand you and the moves that you made, when you called the Tariff Day Liberation Day, that harkened to me back to the end of the war, World War II.
That's right.
And I'm wondering, because of all of the moves you've made, NATO, the endless wars, everything else that goes along with this, are you signaling to the world that this is not just tariffs? This is an end to the order that we built after World War II, because it might have been good after World War II for everybody, but we're not the suckers anymore. That's long past, and it's time to transform.
You've said it so well, because people don't talk about that. Even I don't mention it enough. We helped countries after World War II. We helped them rebuild, and the Korean War with South Korea.
Right.
And we never stopped.
Never.
And they became very successful, and they stole our businesses. Look, South Korea took our car business, our shipbuilding business, so many different business, technology, electronics. If you look at Japan, and I'm not knocking them, I think it's great what they did for them. The one I'm knocking and the people I'm knocking are our presidents and our leaders, that we allowed that to happen.
Yeah, and I got a call this morning. It says, we have no tariffs with South Korea. And I look it up. They have 54% tariffs on agricultural goods from the United States. We have 3%, a little more than 3% tariff on their goods coming into our country. South Korea, that really pisses me off, because I've always liked South Korea. I have 2 Kia cars that are Korean cars, but they're great cars. But Korea, the advantage and the ripoff job that they're doing, it's like Canada. We saved their country in the Korean War. South Korea would not exist. They would have lost. China and North Korea invaded, they would have lost. And it was a short war, but it was a rough one. But all these years later, we're still protecting them on the 38th parallel. We got the DMZ, we're still defending them, and they're ripping us off like that. What President Trump is doing is so many things. He's forming new alliances that actually are relevant today, not these old World War II alliances, right? Countries that are real allies, Norway, El Salvador, Italy, and others. And some of these countries that are ripping us off will come around, and some of them won't. But, we helped all these countries out and rebuilt them. And what President Trump said there to Glenn Beck, and we never stopped. Yeah, that's right. And they've been ripping us off, taking advantage. Their entire economies are based around ripping us off. I know I got a lot of clips today. All this stuff that I'm talking about on the podcast right now, these are things that I did not get to in my show prep on the morning show. There was a lot of news, but, Friday is Open MAGA Mike Friday on the program. Open phones, people can call in about any and everything they want. And I didn't get to really any of my show prep. So most of what I'm talking about, the judge arrest in Wisconsin did not happen yet. But these other stories, like that clip of President Trump with Glenn Beck, and this next one I want to play from Jesse Waters. These are things that I didn't get to on the morning show today. This is amazing. We got the whole story of January 6th is starting to come out, and this is Jesse Waters. Listen, this is a couple days ago.
Fox News alert, the Justice Department just released the bombshell report that we've been waiting for. What actually happened on January 6th? The FBI had 26 confidential human sources there that day. 26.
Wow.
A confidential human source is a guy the FBI pays to spy for them. Of the 26 confidential human sources who were in D.C. on Jan 6th, 4 entered the Capitol during the riot. An additional 13 entered the restricted area around the Capitol. So more than a dozen FBI spies participated in the so-called insurrection.
Wow.
A bunch of them broke into the Capitol.
Wow. Isn't that something? And were they arrested? Did any of them go to the D.C. gulag? And now more of this is going to become public, and I'm sure Kash Patel and his team are probably going through this information. But More and more is going to come out, and we're going to find out what really happened there. And, you know, the sad thing about it, though, is whatever we find out, there's been 4 years of fake news reporting on it. And that reporting is sadly going to become the historical record of January 6th. It's already been written, the false history of it, even though we're just now starting to learn what really happened there. And I know, like, well, we knew all this, but now what we're getting are the documents that prove that what we suspected was true. And I can't wait for more of this to come out. And as it comes out, it's important for everyone to share it on all your socials with as many people as you want, so that we can, and I'll be talking about it as it comes out, like Jesse Watersby, and everyone like me should talk about it as these things come out, because we need to correct the fake news historical record on January 6th. Now, there's one thing I want to talk about that just really ticked me off. You heard about this story from the new Star Wars series, Andor Season 2, with the rape of an illegal immigrant? You know, this one's a tough one for me because, you know, Star Wars, like a lot of guys my age, has a special place in our life. You know, that movie came out in 1977, Star Wars. I was 6 years old. I saw it in the movie theater, and Star Wars has always been a big part of my life. I love Star Wars. And these wokesters at Disney, what they've done is destroyed it. You know, people that are lifelong Star Wars fans, what they call it is there's Star Wars and then there's Disney Star Wars. And Disney Star Wars is not Star Wars. But I did watch this season 2 of this series, Andor. And it's a prequel to Rogue One, which was one of the Disney Star Wars movies, which actually Rogue One is very, very good, if you know. But what they did in this show is insane. They had an attempted rape of an illegal immigrant, which I'll tell you about. But, you know, George Lucas has said many times over the years that Star Wars was made for an audience that's 12 years old. And I was half that age when it came out. But it's for 12 years old. There's no sex in Star Wars, okay? There's no sex. There's no rape. It was a story about a princess and heroic knights and, you know, and wizards and all that stuff. Jedis are wizards. And it's for children. Preteen is what it was written for. So to have a rape attempt and a sexual assault, I knew that was coming because I follow these things, and I knew it was coming, and I was like, this is so, you know, I just can't believe. Maybe they'll edit it out because there was so much outcry. So the first 3 episodes dropped a couple days ago of this season 2 of Andor, and I watched them because it's Star Wars. You know, I'm going to watch anything that's Star Wars. It's just, you know, I'm sorry, it's a weakness I have, guys, because, you know, Star Wars is so important to me. And they had this whole storyline about this illegal immigrant who's hiding out on a farm, and the Empire comes to town to check passports. And the Imperial officer tells this woman that if she has sex with him, that she'll be okay. He won't deport her. And she says no, so he tries to rape her, and she kills him. You know, why do they have to inject their left-wing politics into everything? Well, it's like the judges we were talking about at the beginning of the show. These are radical activists and revolutionaries. They want to bring down our society as we know it, and they feel duty-bound to get all of these things out there. Okay? And they think what they're doing is very, very important. And I got news for you. It's not. But it's pretty sad, and it hurts when they do something like that. You know, these wokesters and liberals, they've got to destroy everything, don't they? They want to destroy our culture. They want to destroy our country. They want to end our way of life, and they do it wherever they can spread their liberal garbage. They are going to spread it. And I know a lot of people say, "Well, don't watch that stuff." If any you guys out there that are, and maybe some of the women too, but you guys out there that are my age, you know how important Star Wars is to our generation. It's important. And to watch them do to it what they've done to it, it's sickening. It really is. Now, there's another good news story today that Letitia James lawyered up. You know, the fact that Letitia James lawyered up in these mortgage fraud cases, which are federal cases, she's worried. She's very worried because she knows what she's done. and she's done a lot. And, she's going to be arrested by the Pam Bondi Justice Department and the Kash Patel FBI. They are going to arrest her. They might already be going for an indictment in front of a grand jury. I'd be surprised if they weren't. And that's going to be a big one, and it's going to be high profile, and there'll be perp walks, and they'll play the race card and everything else. But Letitia James is going to be arrested, and she's going to go to prison too. She's like these judges. She's one of these radical Soros people that they put in a very important, powerful position. She's the Attorney General of the state of New York, and she's a complete criminal. Right? And if Trump was not reelected, she would have spent the rest of her life doing crime. And these are serious crimes that involve maybe at this point many millions of dollars because it's mortgage fraud on multiple properties that she's. This one story where she got a mortgage with her father and said that they were married, that they were husband and wife to get a better rate. And these other things she did to get better mortgage deals. She knows that racket inside and out. That's why she went after Trump on the property valuation, which wasn't true, but because she knows the ins and outs of that crime. And she basically prosecuted President Trump for the crime she's been committing, right? My name's Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you next time.